AITA for refusing to make a dish because my husband complained. My husband was raised by a single mom that worked 2 jobs, so most nights, the boys were left to their own devices or one of their much older siblings would drop off fast food. Sunday was her one day off and she'd make a huge dinner, roast, potatoes, veggies, etc. She continued this even after they were grown, moved out, and she no longer had to work 2 jobs. She died 10 years ago and we all miss that roast. Recently, my husband has been talking about it a lot lately. So I decided a few Sundays ago to make the roast. I got the recipe card from his older sister so it'd be exactly the same, followed it to a T. He and the kids were so excited. I was too. I think it turned out fine. I followed it exactly and the kids and I loved it. However, my husband found everything to complain about. The potatoes weren't right, the chicken didn't taste the same, etc. He was really disappointed and I said, maybe part of the roast being so good was that it was the one meal a week his mom cooked, so it was special. I cook every night and I'm not his mom. He looked me in the eye and said, oh, you just suck at making this, almost like he was mad at me. It was in his tone and voice. So, I was done. I felt really unappreciated and I just packed up the leftovers, which he brought to work every day, and complained it just wasn't the same and that I wasn't a good cook, but he ate them all. And we had other stuff he could bring. No one was forcing him to eat it. This past Saturday he asked why I stopped making the roast. I said because apparently I don't make it right. He acted like I was crazy, so I made it yesterday. Same damn thing. He hated it, bitched about how I can make anything but his roast. So I said I'm never making it again. I'm done. He got mad and said he wants the kids to have this tradition. Said I'm not hearing his whining every week. We'll have a Sunday dinner but no more roast. I also packed the leftovers for the kids today too and the remaining for myself. He called me a bitter asshole. Am I being one? NTA. Yes, he might have been reacting emotionally and out of grief for his mom. But it's not cool to take it out on you. You should show appreciation of your efforts instead of complaining about it. I would tell him, in a clear and frank manner, that his complaining hurt your feelings and made you feel unappreciated. I've made favorite dishes that my late grandmother used to make. I've followed the exact recipe to a T, but it never tastes the same. Sometimes the missing ingredient is the loved one, and eating the dish without them leaves you lacking the same feelings you had when they were alive. NTA, he can prepare the memorial roast in honor of my mother and do it the right way if it's so important to him. If he asks nicely, you might be persuaded to help with the side dishes. Unless you can't make them correctly either, in which case he can do the whole thing. NTA. At all. I can't believe your husband doubled down on insulting the food when you have gave him an out. If he cares so much about this tradition and making the food right, or whatever the hell, he can make the food himself. I can't believe he was so mean when you were being so nice. What an R. This. So many of these can be solved by asking the husband to cook. Girl, you cook every night. If he wants something special and he's convinced you aren't doing it right, he can make the effort. Edit. I also want to add that this was special to him because it was the one time of the week his mom could cook. Maybe he should make this the one time of the week he cooks. NTA. Cook your own version of Sunday dinner and tell him if he doesn't like it he can go eat elsewhere. Ask him if he complained about his mother's cooking like that every Sunday. He definitely did not. For one, she put up with no shit. Second, everyone respected her and loved her cooking. AITA for calling the police on someone who parked in my driveway. Last Saturday our neighbors had a yard sale. There was a decent amount of people that stopped by and they were fine parking in my neighbor's driveway. We live on the very busy street, so parking on the road is a nuisance as there is no shoulder and people tend to drive well over the 35 miles per hour speed limit that is posted. To be clear, it is very obvious that this is our driveway on our property. We do not share an easement with the neighbors, so this person purposely pulled into our driveway because the neighbors was full from other people at their yard sale. The way he was parked completely blocked both of our cars in, so if we needed to get out, we couldn't. About an hour into the sale, we noticed a car pull into our driveway. I asked my husband if he was expecting anyone and he said that he wasn't, so he went outside to see what they wanted. He saw the driver, a passenger and two children get out of the car and walk over to the neighbor's yard sale. My husband called out to the driver of the car and told him he can't park there and to move his car. He told my husband that he had nowhere to park and the kids were with him and it was too dangerous to park on the street. My husband said he understood, but he needed to move the car out of our driveway. The man proceeded to argue with my husband until he finally told him to either move his car or we will call and have it towed. My husband came inside and asked me to call the non-emergency police line to see if someone could come out and ask the driver to move the car out of our driveway. An officer arrived within 10 minutes and my husband explained the situation to him. The other driver began ranting at the officer about not having a safe place to park, and the officer told him that it didn't matter, that he was on our property and he could either move the car or the officer would call to have him towed. The man started screaming curses at my husband and told him that if one of his kids got injured because he had to park in the road he was going to sue us. My neighbors, the ones having the yard sale, came over and told us that we were assholes for making such a commotion over them being parked in our driveway. My husband explained that they were the ones having the yard sale, not us, and that he would have never allowed strangers to park in their driveway because it's just rude. Now my neighbors are badmouthing us to all of our other neighbors. Some agree that we were in the right, but the ones to the immediate right of us are now being cold to us and telling us that we are insensitive and have no sense of community. So AITA, or should I have let it go and let the man park in my driveway? ETA, people keep asking why we called the police. We called them because the driver was becoming increasingly hostile and swearing. He threatened to sue us. We would most likely have let him stay if he had just asked us first. The second he started cursing at my husband, he had to leave. We do not know him, did not know what he would do or was capable of, nor did we invite him. He was there for a neighbor's yard sale that had nothing to do with our property. NTA at all. If you had an emergency and had to move, or even call an ambulance, things could have gotten really bad, just because someone felt like they were entitled to park in your driveway. I don't understand why people think it's okay to use private property as a parking space. You did the right thing, emo, and your neighbors who thought it would be okay can offer up their own driveway for parking next time someone has a garage sale. I've allowed people to use my driveway to park when my neighbors have let me know they're having a gathering and they've asked for the extra space. I would never just let a random stranger park there though. That's absolutely a cause for concern for me. NTA. NTA, the man started screaming curses at my husband and told him that if one of his kids got injured because he had to park in the road he was going to sue us. I love this. What does this guy think he would be able to sue you for? I would straight up ask him why he feels it is okay to willfully endanger his children's lives for a used toaster. The ones to the immediate right of us are now being cold to us and telling us that we are insensitive and have no sense of community. Park in their driveway. NTA. Contrary to another post, you did attempt to ask the owner of the car to move. They insisted it wasn't safe to park on the road as a defense. While that comment is likely true, their remaining option for that person was to not go to the yard sale. Instead they decided that the yard sale was worth parking illegally. You're 100% NTA, even if you had nowhere to be. It's your property. If you had a visitor show up they'd have nowhere to park. If an emergency caused you to need to leave you couldn't do so. If you decided you wanted to sip tea while laying on your driveway you couldn't. That person was not entitled to your property. Anyone that disagrees is wrong. Now maybe if that person had knocked and spoke to you and asked if it's be okay for a short while, but they weren't courteous enough for that. If they had asked, we would have let them stay. But as soon as my husband went out there to see who this person was, he started getting nasty with him. We don't know these people, they were complete strangers to us, but had they been kinder to us, we would have let them stay. The castle doctrine stuff needs to stop. It's a clear Rule 5 violation, and you do not have the information needed to even know if it's legal in this case. Continuing to advocate for shooting people or even suggesting it's legal, again, you most definitely don't know, will earn you the standard Rule 5 ban. AITA for snapping at Sil over parentification comments. I do not permit this to be put on any YouTube channel, Twitter, etc. My 29F daughter, who we'll call Zuzu, is 3 and obsessed with babies. She has told me she wants 700 babies when she grows up, normal. And my wife has joked that going into her room at night is creepy, cause in the bed there's like 17 baby dolls and then our actual daughter. Naturally, when her younger sister, Tenmo, was born, Zuzu was over the moon. She came into the hospital room, jumped onto the bed next to me and told me I'm gonna be her new mama. She always wants to help with her sister. For a 3-year-old, that means small things like helping me pick out an outfit for the baby, holding her while she watches TV, helping with feeding the baby, etc. Zuzu is constantly supervised while doing these things, because she's 3 and can see a bird in the window and then all focus is on that. My Sil is solidly child-free, which is fine and her choice. But lately whenever she's been over and Zuzu has been playing with her sister, which nowadays means putting little sister in a doll stroller and parading her around the house, she has started going on about parentification. She has told us Zuzu will resent us for this, and that kids who are forced to be parents are depressed grown up. Yesterday was no different. We were eating lunch and Zuzu asked if she could feed the baby some food. I actually said no, because we were in a rush and Sil said see, that's what you should be saying. It's horrible and wrong you would force a child into a parent position. Well, I had had enough and asked her to leave, and said that if she was going to keep making comments like that she wouldn't be welcome. Wife agrees with me and said if I hadn't said it she would have. But I've gotten some supremely nasty texts from Sil saying she was just trying to help. Some of my friends who are aware of the situation said I shouldn't have been so harsh either. AITA. Edit. Sil is 5 years younger than my wife, who is 32. They have no other siblings and from what I have seen / wife has told me, etc., there was never anything like parentification ever. NTA. First, no forcing there. She's asking. Second, it's totally natural. And finally, getting toddlers involved is a really good way of heading off sibling rivalry. You're doing fine. Sil should butt out. Edited, or, thank you for award. NTA. Parentification is forcing a child to take on parental roles and duties. A kid obsessed with babies is no different than a kid obsessed with Transformers, Minecraft, or ponies. Walter Sobchak voice. Sil is out of her element. As someone who literally became a guardian to my younger brother at the age of 18 because my parents are a time, this is the most absurd shit I've ever heard. When my brother was born I too was over the moon. But the love of me wanting to help changed heavily when it wasn't me choosing to help or be involved when I wanted to, it being a requirement. NTA. NTA. Parentification is abuse. My mother did it to me, but this is not parentification. Seconded as someone who was also parentified. Parentification is forced caregiving and does not allow a child to be a child. Zuzu clearly enjoys helping with her sister, and these are things she chooses to do, rather than you forcing her. Sil needs to get a grip. NTA. Edit. Thank you kind stranger for the award. Edit 2. Thank you all so much for all the awards, including my first hugs and helpful awards.